here? 6 to 7? Okay.
Weapons on patrol in Washington, D.C., the move marking a major escalation in President Trump's federal takeover of policing in the nation's capital. And now he is threatening to deploy the troops to more American cities. And
why are they showing these assless ass National Guard troops, by the way? That's crazy. Yo, the National Guard have a serious problem with a lack of ass. What's going on, man? Open up the bakeries, man. Oh, my Lord. They got no ass. That's what they're showing here. I know, like, technically this is supposed to show that they have, like, their service weapons now on patrol, which is crazy, by the way, because that's, what are they going to do? Start killing people? That's insane. But, like, the real takeaway here is that they got no ass, bro. No ass, no cheeks, Hank Hill, pancake butt. We need more. The National Guard needs to start lifting, start squatting, brother. Oh, my God.
States run by Democrats, including Baltimore, despite statistics from the mayor's office showing a 17% drop in violent crime from last year. The president has now fired back at Governor Wes Moore of Maryland, who invited him to Baltimore for a public safety walk. Trump responded by saying Moore needed to clean up the city's, quote, crime disaster before he would go for a walk there. The president.
Yeah, I think when he says stuff like that, you know what he's saying, right? Because, like, there are obviously many American cities. There are obviously many American cities that have, you know, fairly high crime rates, but, like, it's still relatively safe, okay? But there is one thing that I am noticing that Trump is actively targeting. It's that if you have, like, I don't know if it's a chicken or the egg situation, but, like, I don't know if it's a you know, a larger percentage of black population cities that are more diverse, that end up sometimes having black mayors or black politicians. And that is what causes Trump to hate on these places. Or I don't know. It just kind of feels like every place that he's going after has, like, a black politician involved. Chicago, DC, Baltimore, state of Maryland. Just something I've noticed. I don't know what that's about. You know, I don't know what that's about. Now, people might say, "How, Hassan, how dare you? How dare you say this? It's because these cities just happen to have a lot of crime." And it's like, okay, but the solution to that is also not necessarily a military presence. Like, that's not going to fix anything. That's going to make things worse, if anything. Like, who the fuck wants to live under a military dictatorship all the goddamn time? That sucks. And secondly, it's just, he's just, you know, he's not going after red areas that also have high crime rates. It's just, weirdly enough, it's just something I've noticed, you know? But once again, is not the solution anyway. The solution is not like a military presence. I'm not saying, like, fucking roll the troops into Mississippi, okay?
It also threatened to withhold funds to replace Baltimore's collapsed Francis Scott Key Bridge. And the president already said Chicago will be the next city he would target for a federal deployment. Two officials have told CNN the Trump administration has been making plans to send the National Guard there for weeks. Police there have reported a 23% drop in violent crime from last year. Let's get right to CNN's Elena Treen at the White House for what appears to be, you know, we're on the cusp of an expansion here.
Absolutely. And part of this, John, is the Trump administration is loving what they're seeing happening in Washington, D.C. They are the images of the National Guard troops in the city, of you know, the federal agents from ATF, DEA, FBI, the list goes on, deployed throughout the city to help with this. Even though we're seeing, you know, we have seen, and we should note, since August 12th, about 2 weeks ago, when the president first issued this as being a national emergency, or a citywide emergency, I should say, and ordered these troops to be mobilized in D.C., there has been a moderate drop in crime. But one of the biggest things we've actually seen as a result of some of these actions has been widespread immigration raids and really a real significant ramp up in some of the deportations we have seen in this city. But to get to what he's ordered and what we've seen now with the National Guard troops. So now we've seen them beginning to carry weapons. Like, we should note, it's unclear how many of them are actually carrying weapons at this point and how long this is going to continue. But this is a significant escalation from when the president first ordered this emergency.
I love that the media's automatic role is to like normalize everything, even if it's just like an objectively abnormal situation, right? Like, this is just not a good thing that Trump is doing. It's very clear that this is motivated by a move in the direction of like having a permanent military occupation in places that he doesn't like. Maybe he doesn't like them because there's a lot of black people there. Maybe he doesn't like it because there's a lot of, blue politicians there or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's just like, he doesn't like a certain neighborhood. He doesn't like a certain city. He's sending the military there. That is objectively an insane thing to do. That is an insane thing to do in America, especially, right? But given the way that CNN approaches everything, the way that like mainstream media approaches everything, they have to like kind of find a way around it to basically normalize it. And I just don't understand how you can do that. You know what I mean? Like, this is the imperial boomerang. This is colonialism and fascism turning inward now. And these people seemingly are looking to make that at least feel more normal than it should.
Emergency in the city. At first, we had heard the Defense Department say that they were not going to be armed, that they are not going to be carrying out arrests. Now we're, of course, seeing them, a lot of them starting yesterday, having their sidearms with them as part of what this administration, this White House is saying being a peacekeeping mission, really trying to still allow some of the other federal agents to do the work. But this all comes after we also saw Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, order this last week, order that national troops could be carrying this weapons. And I would note as well, it's not just the D.C. National Guard that is currently in Washington, D.C. There's also more than 1,900 troops from the National Guards in West Virginia, South Carolina, Mississippi, Ohio, Louisiana, and Tennessee who were called upon to help with this mission that the Trump administration has been rolling out.
And what are the plans going forward, perhaps, for other cities in other states that, just happen to have Democratic governors?
When they say the crime rate has dropped in D.C. since the military takeover, that you should just drop your journalism card at the door. Okay, you're just a mouthpiece for the administration at that point. You're a part of the propaganda ministry. Okay, D.C. crime rates have already been plummeting year over year. It's a 30-year low. The fuck do you mean? It's been 2 weeks. Oh my God, I can't believe in the last 2 weeks the same trend lines have continued. First of all, 2 weeks is far too short a period of time to make an accurate assessment over whether or not this has been a success. Okay? It's already incredibly stupid to just look at that insanely short sliver of time to be like, well, crime rates have gone down. Yeah, you know how people lie with statistics sometimes? Here's a great example of that. It's like saying there has been a 100% increase of sandwiches being thrown at police officers. This is alarming. You know what I mean? This is alarming. A real crime panic has taken over. It's like, okay, so there was just like one sandwich and now there's 2 sandwiches being thrown at cops. Okay. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything at all. You're not saying anything. It's like in the last 2 weeks, crime rates have gone down. Do you not believe the CNN, Hasan? First of all, when the fuck have I ever believed CNN? What do you mean? My entire job revolves around like trying to actively tell you what is happening and what the bias framework is for even CNN and New York Times, BBC. Another great example of like lying with statistics is, 7,000% increase in anti-Semitism. Why did that happen? Well, it happened because the people tracking that shit decided any sort of anti-Israel protest is now also an anti-Semitic incident. So then, of course, there's going to be a fucking massive increase. So there's another way that people lie about this shit. So anyway.
Right. I mean, it's very clear that the cities that the president is looking at targeting next all are Democratic-run cities. And look, this comes as you said it, but we have some reporting that the Trump administration had been planning for weeks now to mobilize troops to Chicago. That's really where the president has his sights set next. I actually asked him about this in the Oval Office on Friday. He brought this up, and I said, are there concrete steps that you are taking at this moment to have troops be sent there? Listen to what he told me. You said Chicago might be next. Are you making, have there been concrete steps that the administration is taking to do that? Or what are other cities as well?
What could be a solution to crime? Great question. This has been something that thinkers have gotten together and tried to find solutions to since the ancient times, okay? From ancient Greece onwards, the answer has always been the same. Solve poverty and you solve crime. That's it. That's it. There is never that, just as Americans and their inability, the American government's inability to address any of these fucking problems, and then their solutions are always just like to basically make the problems worse. With the conversation around crime, the solutions are identical. They are basically doing the just one more lane on the highway and we will fix this traffic issue. Please, one more lane, but in terms of addressing the crime, okay? The real solution to lowering traffic density, as we all know, is not more lanes on a fucking highway. It's actually public transit, okay? Making a less car-reliant infrastructure would be the perfect solution to the traffic density problem. But we don't do that, and we just keep adding lanes onto the fucking highway, but you still get bottlenecked when you enter the city. That's just how it works. And the same principle applies to every single thing that these guys are seemingly trying to solve. If militancy was actually an adequate solution to crime, okay, then America would be crime-free. We have the most militant police force on the planet. Nothing comes near the militancy and the militarization of our domestic police force. This is before we even talk about utilizing the military. Okay. All right, okay, go play with them. But I like my cars, the only freedom we have at this point. This is what I mean. It's like, no, true freedom is not having to sit in traffic. True freedom is actually being able to have a much more affordable alternative to having a car. You can still have a car if you want to, but like real freedom would be the freedom to have a diversity in transport options as opposed to just simply being in your fucking car. But Americans just do not comprehend that at all because it's been sold to you. This has been sold to you since birth that like cars are actually, cars equate to freedom. But anyway, that's just one aspect of this. Here, give me any problem that has a major impact on American day-to-day existence, and I will show you that they do the same shit every single fucking time. Gun violence, school shootings, okay? Apparently there's another mass shooting incident that's like breaking right now. I don't even know where it is. I don't know what's happening. We don't cover active mass shooting stuff instantly until there's like some more evidence, right? The solution is simple. Gun control is the most effective means to at least cut down some of the gun violence. And yet, no one wants to do that, so we constantly look for other alternative reasons, okay? We're like, oh, door control. Oh, you need more guns. We need to give the teachers guns, okay? It's so fucking stupid. You're not making you're not solving the problem. You're making the problem worse, right? I already gave you the example of just one more lane on the highway for traffic density. Same with fucking healthcare. Solution to healthcare is to take out the profit incentive from healthcare. It should be free. It's free in many other countries, in almost every single country. Every country that has decent governance has realized that this is the bare minimum thing that they need to do. In America, we don't do that. And we're like, no, you don't understand. We need to let the free enterprise thrive even more, and then it'll automatically solve itself. Nope, it hasn't. Why would you think that doing the same thing over and over again and leaning into the private enterprise aspect of it is going to actually solve this problem? And the same goes for crime. Same goes for crime. The only solution to crime is the eradication of poverty, because that is where crime manifests. Okay? Crime manifests as a byproduct of people's material conditions. Crime increases when people are poor, when they feel as though they have no alternatives. And yet, Americans who already have, the American government is already like pretty ruthless in terms of dealing with crime, have refused to reckon with this problem. They just say, nah, actually, it'll be different this time. It's not about the best mechanism to solve crime is more deterrence, more violence, more punitive measures. And if that was the case, we'd be crime-free already, as opposed to like all these other countries. But all these other countries have significantly lower crime rates than we do. Okay? All these other countries have significantly lower recidivism rates than we do. The likelihood to reoffend, right? Once someone is in jail. And that's directly a consequence of the way our prison structure works, our prison system works, is so ruthless and so violent that you become like a better criminal. You become like, you are pushed into being a more rugged criminal once you go to prison, as opposed to like rehabilitate and reintegrate into society. Because it's all, it all stems back to the like fucking insane concept that we have. It's the profit motive. We have private prisons in this country, which is abhorrent, morally repugnant, obviously. But then also on top of that, it's the lack of interest in solving any of these real problems, because someone can make more money off of not solving these problems.
He's grossly incompetent. I haven't spoken to the man. No, when we're ready, we'll go in and we'll straighten out Chicago, just like we did D.C.
So as you heard him say there, that they haven't made concrete steps yet. He hadn't talked to Chicago's mayor yet about this, though he went on to criticize him, but that when they're ready, they'll be sending them. He also brought up New York as a potential other city. And as you mentioned, John, keep an eye on Baltimore.
Why do you think people in high crime neighborhoods want more police? Because they also believe the same shit that everyone believes. They believe the same shit that your unks in the suburbs believe. The false notion that like more police presence is actually actively solving crimes or is like an active deterrent. Also, these underserved neighborhoods oftentimes do have a fuck ton of police presence, but they're just not doing the normal function of policing. Okay? And that is precisely the reason why they think, oh, if there were more cops, maybe they would actually solve these problems. When in fact, a big problem with policing is that they're just not doing their fucking jobs. Okay? That's the issue. I'm not saying no police. I'm saying do your fucking job. Okay? Do your job. Do your job. The theoretical job of a police force, whether it's a democratic design or not, is supposed to be to protect and serve the citizens, protect and serve the public. But policing, historically and in contemporary American society, simply protects and serves capital, the interests of capital. That's all they do. Their active response time to incidents in rich white neighborhoods is far better than their active response time in black neighborhoods, in poor neighborhoods in general. That's the reason why a lot of people that live in areas where there are higher rates of crime think like, oh, if we had more fucking cops, maybe they would like actually come faster.
Baltimore, because we did see the president and Maryland's Governor Wes Moore trade a lot of barbs back and forth yesterday about all of this. It's very clear, though. I think the bottom line here, of course, is that the president likes what he is doing in Washington. He has said it could be a model for other Democratic cities, and now we are learning that that's exactly what they are planning to do.
Elena Trina at the White House this morning. Elena, thank you.
Every time you talk about policing in America, you never compare it with other countries. It's like you live in a parallel world where the same neoliberal policies have to work no matter what, but they never do. Are you talking about me? I mean, I talk about other countries policing too, but they also have a litany of other issues, but that's just like adjusted to their own material conditions. So like, I don't want to come across like I'm actually actively defending the way policing works under like, capitalist, liberal capitalist democracies. But I do compare it to other countries usually. I mean, the greatest example is like there's a litany of different issues in Japan and Japanese society, right? Declining birth rates, incredibly xenophobic policies, sexual violence, horrifying work culture with no work-life balance, a society that's aging out and refusing to actually adjust to the times. Having said that, however, while Japanese crime, the Japanese criminal justice system is insanely barbaric in many different ways, as far as like regular policing goes, you can ask a Japanese cop for directions, for example, without ever assuming that they're going to turn around and be like, put your hands up, I'm going to fucking shoot you. Whereas basic policing as a function, as a public servant, okay, does not exist in this fucking country. Maybe it does in like some suburbs, some white neighborhoods, where the cop because the cop is your uncle's friend or something. But like anywhere else, you don't really have a decent like community policing function at all, even in places where they're trying to actively do such a thing. You just don't have it. You don't have that at all. You literally do not experience that. Like I don't know. I just don't have. Talk about people killed per year by authoritarian Chinese police. Smile. You're joking, right? This is a joke, I think. Our police force is far more deadly than the Chinese police force. Oh, okay, you are joking. All right. Like the Hong Kong protest is a great example of this. You know what I mean? Like the Chinese government is draconian, it's authoritarian, it's like terrifying, and then like the American police killed more people during the Black Lives Matter protest than the Chinese police did with the Hong Kong protests. You know? Yeah. Our police force kills 4 people a day in the United States, give or take, and around 10 dogs a day. 10 animals a day. Isn't that crazy? Like, motherfuckers love talking about Tiananmen Square, and it's like, bro, we are doing Tiananmen Squares every fucking week. You're out of your mind, dude. Like, please. It's fucking insane.
Very much. Omar?
Well, John, let's talk about Chicago, because Illinois' Attorney General says the state is going to prepare a legal challenge if President Trump follows through on plans to send the National Guard to Chicago. Now, the president's push comes as Chicago city leaders say there has been a significant drop in crime in the city. Just last month, for example, Chicago police say homicides dropped 35% and shootings dropped 26% compared to the same time last year. I want to bring in CNN's Whitney Wild in Chicago. So, Whitney, how is the city and how are city leaders responding to this possibility?
Omar, given the context that they believe that Chicago represents a success story and the ability to bring down crime, they are shocked but not surprised. I mean, especially because Attorney General Pam Bondi has made clear that cities and states with these so-called sanctuary policies, which limit local law enforcement from working with federal agents to enforce immigration policies.
Also, that has nothing to do with crime. Ironically enough, sanctuary city policies are oftentimes backed by the local police because it actually is a successful way to have undocumented migrant communities collaborate and cooperate with the authorities without fear that they're just going to be like unjustifiably deported for being a witness to a crime. That is the real reason why sanctuary cities were implemented, okay? Or at least one of the reasons why sanctuary cities were implemented. It is so ridiculous that these fucking dudes are trying to bring up the lack of collaboration between federal law enforcement. That's mechanism is to violently prosecute civil offenders. Okay? Like, imagine you just get like ripped away from your family and sent to a totally separate country for a moving violation. You know what I mean? Like a traffic violation. And I'm not even talking about like DUIs. I'm talking like a tiny offense. Because that's what it is to cross the fucking border. That's literally what that is. That's just how it's seen in the legal system. And it shouldn't even be seen as an offense, really, because the best possible way to fix that problem is to document these people, right? So they're basically saying they're basically saying the real issue is that like these criminal scum, you know, that work every single day to make your lives better for pennies on the fucking dollar, those are the real rugged criminals, okay? And they must be violently seized and kidnapped by masked, armed thugs of the state and ripped away from their families. And if we don't do that, then, you know, crime is out of control. People do not, I think many Americans still don't fully comprehend this issue. And I can't even necessarily fault them for their clear lack of humanity, like their clear lack of recognition for the humanity of undocumented migrants, because like there's not that many people out there convincingly speaking on this issue, convincingly speaking on the humanity of migrants in the way that I try to do every single fucking day. And without any sort of counter messaging coming from the left flank here, there's just not going to be any real momentum, real initiative until it becomes too late.
Would be a target for the National Guard. Again, shock but not surprise here in Illinois. As we know, Omar, and as you know, we've previously reported, this plan has been in the works for weeks to send the National Guard to Chicago. It is not clear how many troops are coming here. It is not clear when, but leaders here are firing back immediately. Governor J.B. Pritzker said plainly there is no emergency that would warrant this. The Illinois Attorney General says plainly they will fight this in court. Here's more from the city's mayor, Brandon Johnson.
What he is proposing at this point would be the most flagrant violation of our Constitution in the 21st century. The city of Chicago.
Chad, I think you're defending Tiananmen Square. Yes, because they're fucking stupid. Okay, that's not my argument at all. Okay, brutal crackdowns are unjustifiable no matter which country is doing it. My point is, I'm an American citizen, and I'm talking about America right now, and it's just pure cope from Americans to fucking harken back to like something that happened in a faraway land when there is no like contemporary example in said faraway land that is even remotely as violent as like everyday policing in this country. Okay? Was there actually more murders doing BLM than Tiananmen Square? No, I wasn't comparing BLM to Tiananmen Square. I was comparing Black Lives Matter protests to the Hong Kong protests. Okay? And this wasn't to defend China. I'm just simply giving you data. Okay? That's it. At least 25 Americans were killed during protests and political unrest in 2020. Okay. And it's like a lot of that is not just the police, because if we're looking at like if we are looking at hold on. If we're looking at like the everyday policing, okay, if we're looking at the everyday policing, this is just like in terms of dealing with protests, okay? Dealing with protests that get out of control. As far as this goes, in 2020 it was 25, some of which in the hands of the police, some of which was, of course, like people taking the matters in their own hands. We know many such examples. 2 people have been pardoned so far for their or didn't even face any criminal repercussions, like Kyle Rittenhouse, in this process, because people basically deputize themselves because that's just the most American way. Okay, as opposed to the Hong Kong policing from a repressive state like the Chinese state, zero kills in the hands of the Chinese police, and those guys were like throwing fucking, they were shooting arrows and shit at the cops. You know what I mean? Like there was some serious instability there too. Okay, I think like the Hong Kong protesters like burned one guy or something. I don't know. I can't remember, but like it's not even comparable. That's my point. Okay. And if we're looking at like regular everyday policing, then Americans, on the other hand, in like the American government, when you look at the numbers of regular everyday policing, we're killing like around almost 1,000 people a year. It's fucking crazy. It's crazy. It's ridiculous.
Chicago does not need a military occupation. That's not what we need. In fact, we've been very clear about what we need. We need to invest in people to ensure that we can build safe and affordable communities.
Yeah. The Chicago Police Department kills black people at 29 times the rate of white people per population, the largest racial disparity of any major American city. It's fucking nuts.
The Illinois Attorney General stressed that they welcome partnerships with federal law enforcement, but they are opposed to any deployment of the National Guard. And he said that the idea that the National Guard would be deployed here without any communication, any partnership with local leaders here represents authoritarianism. So very strong words from leaders here. Again, this is a Democratic-led state. It is a Democratic-led city. So no surprise that they are firing back as aggressively as they are, Omar. Finally, we reached out to the Pentagon. They had no comment. And then, Omar, I'll leave you with this. As Elena brought up, there were many states who allowed their National Guards to be deployed in Washington, D.C. The dynamics there, as you know, are very different. And so the question here is this going to look more like Washington, D.C., or is this going to look more like L.A.? And the read from our sources, our great reporters in Washington who've been reporting this out, is that this is going to look a lot more like the National Guard deployment in L.A. But the question is whether or not these surrounding states, like, let's say, Missouri, Indiana, Republican-led states, can utilize their National Guard and send them into a non-consenting state like Illinois.
I mean, black people are the ones who are committing crimes that get them killed. Oh. Ay, ay, ay. I mean, this is just a byproduct of having Trump as president, I guess. Like this kind of thinking just becomes way more fashionable in this process, right? So you just got to fucking deal with that. You asked for hogs back. Here's your hog. Yeah. I'm not saying it's right. I mean, you're wrong in general. Black people are the ones committing crimes that get them killed is so fucking stupid. The police are incredibly militant in black neighborhoods, okay? They don't enforce in the same way that they do in white neighborhoods. This accounts for a major part of this disparity. They basically operate like an occupational force in black neighborhoods as opposed to white neighborhoods, okay? That's a major part of the problem. It's not because black people are doing the crimes that get them killed. Okay. How can you say that in the United States of America, especially a particularly violent nation? Sure. But like a nation where an unarmed black teenager still gets shot for like petty theft. Meanwhile, that obviously is not happening to white teenagers with the same fucking rates. Every aspect of policing, every aspect of the criminal justice system in this country is designed in a way where there are major disparities in both policing and enforcement as it pertains to black people in comparison to white people. That's why black people are further pursued, okay, and are stopped at much higher rates for the same crimes as opposed to white people. Black people get higher sentences for the same crimes that white people also commit. One of the best examples of this is marijuana, okay? Pre-decriminalization, but even post-decriminalization. Black and white people consume marijuana at the same rates, okay? And yet black people are stopped more frequently and are criminalized more frequently. And on top of that, get longer sentences on average, higher charges and longer sentences on average for the same exact crime. How do you make up for that? What is the disparity there? The sentencing disparity is also the disparity that you see between crack and cocaine. Once you start recognizing these nefarious, sinister, hidden realities baked into baked into our criminal justice system that is completely normalized, you realize, oh wait, maybe there is a different reason why this is happening, and it's not because black people deserve it. I'm glad I didn't ban this person. He seems like just misguided, okay?
That is the big question here. We expect to learn more about this as the day unfolds, Omar.
All right, I know you'll be on top of it. Whitney Wild, really appreciate the reporting.
This morning, more than 2,200 National Guard troops in the nation's capital now armed. Many seen overnight carrying service-issue pistols, others armed with M4 rifles. All part of what President Trump is calling a crackdown on crime in...
Yeah, we already have the most heavily militarized police force in the nation. So I'm glad that we just, cut out the middleman, I guess, or not even the middleman. But we're just making it literally the military. Not in the nation, in the world, sorry.
Washington, D.C. This despite violent crime in the district falling to a 30-year low, down 26% since last year. And now a U.S. official telling ABC News planning is underway to potentially duplicate Trump's mobilization in D.C. and send troops into Chicago. No official deployment has been ordered, and the Department of Defense declined to speculate on future operations. But Trump suggesting just days ago he could expand his focus from D.C. to other Democratic-run cities.
How do people not understand how fucking insane this is? Like, I genuinely don't get it. I don't know how people are just like sleepwalking as like we are becoming more and more directly and overtly fascist. Like, this is the implementation of martial law without the actual fake psyop, fake incident that happened to justify martial law. We're just militarizing. We're using the military for domestic policing. How is this not frustrating or terrifying for the average American? I do not understand. Like, the Reichstag fire here was big balls. Isn't that crazy?
So I think Chicago will be our next, and then we'll help with New York.
A spokesperson for New York Governor Kathy Hochul telling ABC News Trump's attempts to invoke military power undermines work being done in her state that has already brought down crime. And Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker blasting Trump's threat, saying the president is attempting to manufacture a crisis. Chicago's mayor pointing out homicides, shootings, and robberies are all down since last year.
The city of Chicago does not need a military occupation.
The president also setting his sights on another Democratic governor, Maryland's Wes Moore, after Moore touted violence falling in Baltimore and told the president, quote, "If you are not willing to walk our communities, keep our name out of your mouth." Trump lashing out, writing, "If Wes Moore needs help, I will send in the troops," which is being done in nearby D.C. and quickly clean up the crime. But this year, Baltimore is also seeing a double-digit decrease.
I mean, I think it still loops back. I hate to be a broken record on this, but I think this still loops back to white supremacy, right? What I mean by this is like, immigrants are black and brown in the minds of like many Americans. So you can kind of turn a blind eye to like over policing in those communities, no matter how unconstitutional or ridiculous it is, without ever actually having to care about their humanity or their contributions to American society and American existence and the social fabric that keeps everything together. And the same goes for black neighborhoods and black cities in general, where it's just like this, the assessment from like regular Americans from all different backgrounds is that like higher percentage black cities and higher percentage black neighborhoods are just like scary and filled to the brim with crime. And therefore you just have to fucking be violent and brutal to these people. And, you know, if you use the military like this, then it's still good. They don't even think about it like, bro, that's your city too. You know what I mean? They don't comprehend it because they just think, oh, it won't happen in my city. There's not a lot of black people here, so it's fine. What is this? Fun fact, the body armor they're wearing has an emergency release system. If you pull the tab for it located on the front of the armor vest, it will fall apart into multiple pieces that take forever to put back together. Okay, that's like you're actively demanding to be shot if you do some shit like that. You know? That's crazy. Yo, the Roachman's viewers are double of Hassan. He must be double right. Or maybe there's some other incident that took place on this platform that Asmongold himself has openly recognized that contributes to his view count being so much higher. There's a clip of Jason floating around and chat spamming LJU. That's not even his chat, okay? And no, I'm not going to fucking cover it, you fucking loser. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. People see like one post and it doesn't matter if it's correct. No fucking investigations whatsoever. They just go along with it and they go, come on, dude. I'm over here talking about like a fascist takeover of major American cities. And this guy's like, well, I saw something. I saw something that isn't even correct, but it doesn't fucking matter. And I need you to take a look at it.
Increase in gun violence, homicides, and shootings. Moore calling the president's threat unconstitutional and a scare tactic.
For a party
that the math equation of fucking fried drama brain losers is so funny. 45% higher equals double. I mean, don't worry, just let him have it.
Talks about state rights. It's amazing how they're having such a big government approach in the way they're conducting public safety.
Now, President Trump has more power over D.C. because it's a federal district than he does anywhere else. In other states, it's the governor that is typically in control of the National Guard. Remember, California is still suing the Trump administration after the president.
Can you say something good about America? Sure. Okay. The American state, no. But Americans, I do believe in. I place an endless amount of confidence in my community, in my neighbors, in Americans living all around the country. Okay. I believe that eventually they will wake up to this design. They will wake up to the realities. That's why I do what I do. That's the reason why I talk about these issues. Hassan cry stream. The reason why I talk about all of the shortcomings of the American state or the deliberate attempts to like worsen people's conditions is because I still have perhaps this naive belief, perhaps this misguided belief that Americans, if they listen to it, they listen to what I have to say charitably, they will wake up to the realities. They will wake up to the design of the systems of enforcement. And instead of existing in this weird space where they have all of this unlimited animosity towards marginalized groups, because that's who these people in power are shifting their attentions over to, they will actually recognize it is those within the system. It is those who actually hold the levers of control, hold the levers of power in this country that is making their conditions worse. All right.
Deployed National Guard troops and active duty Marines to Los Angeles this summer. George.
And Jay, the president continuing his purge of high-level military officers.
Yeah, that's exactly right, George. Air Force Lieutenant General Jeffrey Cruz has been fired as the head of what's called the Defense Intelligence Agency. That's the same agency that drew the president's ire when it compiled an early intelligence assessment that contradicted what the president and other top administration officials had said, that they had, quote, obliterated Iran's nuclear capabilities in those 3 bombings in June. The Pentagon not giving a reason as to why Cruz was ousted, but he's just the latest top Pentagon official to be pushed out since President Trump took office, including the former chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General C.Q.
I made the statement.
This was crazy, by the way. Trump straight up was like, oh, I heard Americans want a dictator. That was a very cool moment. Very cool moment that is alarming and indicative of the conditions worsening.
As you all know, Chicago's a killing field right now. And they don't
Chicago's a
acknowledge it.
killing field. Not Gaza, by the way. Chicago is a killing field.
And they say, we don't need him. Freedom, freedom. He's a dictator. He's a dictator. A lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator. I don't like a dictator. I'm not a dictator. I'm a man with great common sense, and I'm a smart person.
Yeah.
And that next should be Chicago, because as you all know, Chicago's a killing field right now. And they don't acknowledge it. And they say, we don't need him. Freedom, freedom. He's a dictator. He's a dictator. A lot of people are saying.
Bro, saying Chicago's a killing field is so funny. I'm so glad I went to the South Side in that block party, like school supply drive, like the back to school supply drive. It's just like match that footage to what Trump is saying. And you realize it is just so unimaginably made up. Did you get killed? Yeah, I did. I was threatened with guns. I got killed like every single day when I was in Chicago because it's a killing field. And luckily I could, reset. Luckily I had save files, that I could utilize every single time. I'm a ghost now. I'm dead. I'm not even alive. I filmed all this stuff ahead of time. Chicago's a killing field. Yeah.
Maybe we like a dictator. I don't like a dictator. I'm not a dictator. I'm a man with great common sense, and I'm a smart person. And when I see what's happening to our cities, and then you send in troops, instead of being praised, they're saying you're trying to take over the republic. These people are sick. But I'm really saying, and I say this to all of you, in a certain way, we should wait to be asked, because they have cities that are so under control, out of control. So we go in and fix it. They take the full credit for it, and they go out and say, I heard it this morning. They're saying how well they've done over the last 10-day period, that they set record lows. They don't say that we're there with very tough people, by the way. They have to pass the toughness test. Otherwise, they're not working for us. We're doing a real job.
Yeah, Trump responds publicly to the Westmore's invitation to take a walk with him in Baltimore, which of course is another. He's literally rotting away. I know, but like I said, listen, guys, hoping that God takes him out is a common, very common attitude that people in other countries have towards their somewhat authoritarian leaders. Okay, this is a common ass meta. It's one that I am very familiar with from growing up in Turkey. Okay, it just doesn't, in my experience, it doesn't happen. It usually just like you get false hope. Okay, you get fucking false hope in the process, and you just delude yourself into thinking like maybe one day the problem will solve itself. No. In my experience, these motherfuckers get more powerful. The more people go, oh, one day, one day this is gonna take place. The more people feel that way, the longer it takes. Okay. I know Russian people have said this about Vladimir Putin. I know Turkish people that have said this about Erdogan. Obviously, I would never say it publicly. I mean, come on. That's Erdo goat, Reis. But like, this is, people used to say this in Brazil about Jair Bolsonaro. I'm sure plenty of people felt this way about Pinochet in Chile. It just doesn't happen, Like, it's just funny that it's happening now in America, though. It's just, this is such a common, almost universal experience in the global South and in many other countries that it is hilarious that even Americans are now, it's kind of hilarious in a dark way that Americans are also experiencing the same exact feelings. But as one who has seen this and experienced this in my own life, I'm going to tell you right now, it doesn't work that way. These guys get more powerful. They get more powerful the more you have that kind of enmity, the more you have that kind of feeling in your heart, the more powerful they become. It like extends their lifespan for some fucking weird reason. Megaphonic says the Citizen app, Nextdoor, and Patch have been cataclysmic for suburbanite sentiments about big cities. Every loud noise within a 50-mile radius being reported as a gunshot and sent as a push notification for your phone will make you paranoid over time. Yeah, I've said this before too. I noticed this around COVID when a lot of those apps started popping off, and it played the exact opposite role of like community building. And it just made people into like suburban fascists. It is so unhealthy. A better look at the bruising on Trump's right hand today via Getty. Yeah, he's stopping more wars as well. Anyway, let's watch this.
And I'm so proud of D.C. I passed it 2 days ago, and all the garbage is off the streets. It's terrible. I came in a month and a half ago. I'm driving down, and I see garbage all over the place. The streets were a pigsty, like I won't use the city's names, but you know what I'm talking about. There are plenty of them outside of this country and inside of this country. Baltimore is a horrible, horrible deathbed. It's a deathbed. I know Governor Moore said, oh, he wants to take a walk with me. He meant it in a derogatory tone. I said, no.
Wait, why would that be a derogatory? Bro. They should, yo, I'm telling you, he should have told him like, no, Bashar al-Assad did this. You know what I mean? Like Putin does this. That's what you should, I'm telling you right now, if you told Donald Trump, like, this is stuff that Saddam used to do, this is stuff that Assad used to do, he would do it. Like if you explain to him that this is like a flex, to say like, I can walk in my own city no matter what it is without, without fear that I will be shot and killed, you might be able to convince him to do this. Trump is a Baathist. Yeah. I'm serious. It was derogatory. He was calling out Trump's inability to walk short distances. Okay, fair. Also, Fox News loves to nationalize minor local occurrences. My dad will regularly send me some shit about San Francisco LA from Fox News. Meanwhile, I literally live in these cities and I know what day-to-day life is like. I know. One of the funniest things was like when the crime panic was taking hold about like Los Angeles, people would constantly tell me that like my own backyard was riddled with crime and danger and death. And I was like, that's not the case, man. You're just seeing it on television and it's like shaping your perspective because you've never lived in this city. You've never lived in a city at all. You live in the fucking suburbs in Idaho and you just fantasize about like unimaginable crimes happening at any given moment. Meanwhile, if I were to look at the murder rate in your fucking small town, it's probably worse. It usually is. But there's genuinely nothing you can do about this kind of misinformation because it's not born out of like any sort of logical interest. It's born out of fear. And you can't logic someone when their worldview is shaped by hysteria and fear and paranoia. It sucks.
I'm the president of the United States. Clean up your crime and I'll walk with you. But it's tremendous crime. But he was trying to be derogatory. He doesn't have what it takes. But he's trying.